Welcome back to the show. So, just to preface, this is a goodbye to the Good Ad Fellas.
Yes. Sad
Luke
day.
and I have given this a lot of thought, and we have some unfortunate news that this will be the last of the Good Ad Fellas. But we are not going anywhere because we have officially rebranded
Rebrand.
to the Mad Ads department.
Rebrand.
So, quick round of applause for no reason. Yeah. So, this show will not be going anywhere. I just want to make sure that's clear. Now, the reason why Luke and I decided to change things up a bit and do a little bit of a rebrand was we spoke about the direction of the show, and we realized that, we want to do more industry stuff instead of just value and topic driven for each episode. Now, we know that there is a lot of value in some of the stuff we've talked about. That will not be going away, but we feel like we're doing a disservice by just talking about one thing every episode and not providing enough of what's going on in the industry, what we're seeing, talking about campaigns that have been going on. So we have a little bit of a different structure. Each week we're going to talk about industry news, weekly campaign recaps, personal insights, even do some history stuff. So like there are certain ads that maybe a week ago or a week today, a year ago, or however many years ago, a new ad campaign came out that was really popular, something like that, right? So we want to talk about that and just be able to provide more value. So Luke, how are we feeling today? Are you excited for the new show?
I'm excited. I think the best shows innovate. And for us, I think we realize that we want to kind of talk about what makes us really passionate. And don't get me wrong, getting into the weeds of a Facebook ad format, absolutely. But what me and Carson absolutely love more than anything is just talking advertising and just talking about new things, old things, and things to come. So for me, it's a really exciting kind of shift. And I'm just so pumped to kind of get into the first segment.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And I think another thing to touch on as well is bear with us for this first episode or maybe couple episodes while we get our bearings for this new format, but we can kind of go into industry news and what we're seeing right now and big topics this week. Luke, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, something that I've seen that's really interesting, and it's a bit of an interesting marketing campaign, and it's Roland DG. And to show the audience what that actually means, I'm going to share my screen because I feel like it's best to visually show it if I can. Again, technical difficulties. So this is Roland DG, right? It is like a printing slash kind of like color company, if that makes sense. So their whole thing is, again, as you can see, very corporate, very, there's no emotion or any feel to this. Have you heard of this company, Carson?
I have not.
Anyway, they launched an interesting new brand message called Make Your Mark, right? And I just wanted to kind of highlight this kind of towards the B2B marketers, where this company, in which I would say inherently quite a boring company, but makes quite a lot of money, they've decided to go into the emotional storytelling angle and with Make Your Mark. And what they found from their studies internally, when they were doing their internally and externally with their surveys, is that people came to them because they wanted to have something that could, again, digital printing, they could make their mark. It was that common kind of tone. So I just want to kind of show this as an interesting campaign and brand message. What do you think, Carson? From what
I
I've
like
shown.
it. And it also is kind of like tongue in cheek with the make your mark and print on it and everything like that. So I think that's not a bad campaign. One thing I would have liked to see, I haven't seen the ad or anything yet, but I think one thing I would like to see for them is why are people making their mark? Like what are the instances that make people want to get printing presses, dive into the emotional side? Is it because they're on it, they're part of youth sports and they want that team camaraderie feel of having a mission. Like I think you should make it something about making your mark on your mission to do something,
Yeah.
right? And I haven't seen the campaign yet, but I think that's one of the biggest emotional drivers is like it gives you a feeling of community when you make your mark on these things or when you have a business like us and you're getting hats and you want to promote yourself, stuff that really people can put themselves in their shoes and be able to visualize like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah. And also just to add on to that as well, I think it's a really good lesson for anyone to understand what does your customer actually talk about when they talk about you as a product? Because for them,
Yep.
as we are saying, right, they are they do like wide format printers, vinyl cutters, UV printers, engravers, all these things, right? They've been in business for 40 years, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And it's
wow.
interesting with this survey they did, no one talked about the speed or the kind of the reliability of the product. That's not what they're focused on. Their customers, they focus more on the confidence, the pride, and putting their name to the output, right? So for
Yeah.
me, think this is a great example. If you're in B2B, yes, your customers probably do come to you for speed or reliability, but actually that isn't how they talk about it to their friends or other customers. Or you know what I mean? That's not what they focus on. So we understand, what is the insight around the campaign, and that was their insight. It was actually, let's make your mark. That's what the customer cares about. So I think that's a
Yeah.
just really great campaign, in my opinion, just from
Yep.
B2B perspective. But Carlson, talk to me. You probably found some cool things on your end.
Yes. So one of the first things that I found is if you are in the States, unless you're living under a rock, you'll know that the Artemis 2 mission in space is happening right now. And Apple just happened to get the best indirect advertising from the Artemis 2 crew while they were in space. So Reed Wiseman posted, "There are no words." This was on Twitter. I think he also posted on Instagram, and they put NASA and NASA Artemis posted these pictures, and somebody asked what was this shot with, and NASA replies, "These photos were shot on an iPhone 17 Pro Max." Like, talk about the best free advertising of all time, with just NASA dropping your name in the comments and getting thousands of likes. It's even more now. I think it's, at least high five figures.
Damn.
Um, so
Damn.
that's absolutely crazy. And these were some of the images they have. This was the image we saw at the beginning. This was another one from the lady on the trip as well, who's a beast. These were a couple more just from iPhone 17 pictures, which is crazy. But that's that's some of the stuff that I think is super cool. Just to be able to, I mean, imagine having such a good product that you don't even need to advertise it because people will do it for you.
Yeah. But also that's an interesting kind of cultural, I mean, that is a cultural moment, right? It's the zeitgeist, is the moon thing, and that's a perfect way for a brand to connect with it, right? As I said,
Yep.
they didn't pay for it,
Yep.
right? But they latched onto the feeling. What a
And
great
then
what a
what's
not an
that?
ad. I would say not an ad, but like what a great kind of cultural moment that they've catched onto. That's really
Yeah,
smart. Cool.
exactly. And another big news, Coca-Cola has a "I'd like to buy America Coke" campaign for their America 250 ad run. So they launched a year-long nationwide campaign as part of its partnership with America 250, the nonprofit org in the United States.
Beautiful.
They are basically, the central effort is 3-minute anthem videos about drinking in America and reimagining versions of, like, "I'd like to buy the world a Coke," which is one of their old campaigns, with
Mm,
footage of like people in different walks of life and doing different activities, different geographies. The It says right here on Marketing Dive, the campaign includes limited edition packaging, some of which can be scanned for prizes, sponsored murals across all 50 states, a community impact goal, and more. The effort was designed to be inclusive and arrives at the fraught political moment ahead of the nation's 250th birthday. Not
mm.
sure how that's political, but whatever. They've got, video and a write up on all of this stuff. So that's pretty cool. Congrats to Coke on, being part of the America 250 celebration and all that other good stuff. Another thing going on, that I think we need to touch on is how Meta's AI push is changing the ad creation process. So we know Zuck has kind of laid out a vision for Meta's core business of advertising, and how he said he wants to fully automate advertising by the end of this year. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's really what advertisers want, what brands want, and what's going to stick, because there's a lot of gray space when you leave everything up to the machine to decide. What do you think of that take, just before we kind of get into the news?
I think, well, as we know with Zuckerberg and his acquisition of Manus and the carnage that Manus is causing, good and bad. But I think, to be fair, it's all going to come down to Andromeda and how good their algorithm is, and how much they back it. Because you can do all these great automations, but as you and I know, some of the best ads are completely unreasonable. And the insights that have been gathered to create the ad, I don't think an AI could find, right? Because it doesn't, like, yes, you can teach it culture, but it doesn't know feeling or culture. It doesn't know, like, this was not, so I think it'll be interesting to see how they essentially machine learn creativity. I think it's a very hard thing to do.
And, like,
So
they've been trying to automate media buying and make it simpler for years now, and it's getting to that point, and I think that would be the first thing that gets automated and to go. But if you look at their automated generating ads in the libraries, it's horrendous.
But you
Images are terrible.
don't run them.
The
I would automatically run them for the banter. You've got to
Yeah,
run.
the
But
copy is atrocious. It's just not good. And I think
yeah,
the hardest part for AI is gonna be the copy because that's where you have to generate ideas from.
but then it's interesting though because like I know they announced. I think we'll probably be talking about it as well. But they just announced the kind of the affiliate links, basically TikTok Shop, right, for Instagram now, which I think is going to create. They're just kind of copying the TikTok Shop in 2023 and now bringing it to Instagram in 2026. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they play it because I know they've teamed up with PayPal for that one purchase click. So I think it'll be very interesting kind of synergies and see what happens. But also because we know that PayPal was nearly acquired by Stripe. I don't, or was it acquired by Stripe? I think it got blocked maybe. But I don't know. Lots of big tech companies are forming together to make this really seamless flow. And I think I don't know. I think it's dreamland. I think people
Well,
because
and
again I don't know. Anyway,
there's a lot of wariness too. Like it says in the article as well, while the Charles Group uses AI agents outside of Meta to help iterate their copywriting for assets, most clients are worried about legal risks of undisclosed image generation. That's a lot of hesitation as to using Gen AI, especially for ad creative right now.
big time.
And it talks about how like, most of them want to retain because they put so much time and effort into creating what their brand is, right?
Mm.
Like the agency side is not just about like, helping you make money, but it's helping you develop a brand, right? And it's helping you be exactly what you want to be. AI is not going to be able to do that because everything's up here. You're not going
Mm.
to be able to know, like, I don't think AI is going to be able to read your mind and say, this is what is on brand, this is what is off brand, because the slightest messaging tweak can really like not sound right. And the copywriting, like I said, is just not there.
Well, we saw the big thing last week on X about the guy that's built him and his brother. They built like a $1.8 billion business, and many people were claiming it was the first AI business to make that much money, but actually he just white labeled the GLP-1 services and done some really questionable advertising. Don't get me wrong, I like a good strategy to the man to the next to me, but I feel like when you do fake doctor pages, and then run ads
Yeah.
for a fake doctor, it's like, come on. I mean,
It's tough.
it's pretty diabolical. I really find that hard to justify. Like if it was like a fake, and if you were selling painting, like you're selling, and then let's say you're selling like paint liquid or whatever you call it, paint, sorry, paint. Right, I don't mind if you were selling it for a fake DIY man, an AI DIY guy.
Yeah.
That's probably fine. But a doctor, I think, is quite question. It's just a bit too questionable for me.
Yeah, it is. It also comes down to like the consumer side, how bad do consumers really want AI ads? And from what I see, it's not, they do not like it. They do
Yeah.
not like it. We live in this bubble in the advertising industry, in the tech industry, and we think like AI is going to do all this stuff. You forget about the average consumer. So many people hate AI because they have a fear of it, right?
Now,
So it's
Now,
tough.
but as you've brought me onto a beautiful segment on where I want to go, and talking about fear, I'm really quite intrigued by kind of Google's AI mode now, and the sense of like they're now having ads inside the conversation. This isn't a brand new concept. AI have been looking to do that with ChatGPT and have been starting to slowly implement it. But what is slightly worrying me, and for people that want context, Google is essentially moving their ads deeper into kind of the conversational experience. So currently, right now, they're letting US shoppers buy items from Etsy and Wayfair right inside the AI mode. Right, when you go onto Google and you ask a question, you can enter AI mode, and they're going to allow you to buy from Shopify, Target, and Walmart pretty soon. But what I think is really
Wow.
interesting, in my view, is it's probably one of the biggest one of the biggest like structural shifts actually. It's kind of since the banner ad, because if you think about it, most advertising platforms they're based on like an interruption model, right? You're interrupted, you see something, you buy. Right,
Yeah.
Meta's kind of more. That's why Meta's very good for demand, not demand capture, for kind of new demand creation, because it's like, and
Yeah.
Google's different because people may be searching a keyword and whatever. But when ads will appear in the answers to your question at the exact moment that you all decide you want something, what worries me, I'd love to hear what your view on this is, how long before the consumer will stop trusting AI for recommendations entirely because of the fact that they know there's a conversion event if they go down the right track? What do you think?
I think I'm worried less about that and more worried about they're going to not trust AI because it's not giving them all the options and the research that they want. Like they want to research other products, but if AI is just pushing stuff based on ads, it's going to be very tough to be able to do research without exiting the AI and then going and finding other products, right? Like that's why I'm a little bit skeptical
Mm.
of the search intent base. Now, I'm not a technical guy. I don't know how they're going to be able to work with that and stuff, but I think there's there is still that human emotion side where people want to do the research. I was talking to my parents last night, and my dad was like, "Yeah, when I see a product and all this stuff, like I want to go research. I go to the Instagram page, and then I go to the website, and I search, see what other products are out there. I go to Amazon. Like he's doing his research to see if he wants this product or not.
Yeah.
That still is a barrier when it comes to search. So like if you're only searching on AI and you're only getting products that are advertised for when you do that instead of like all of these different products from different brands that are the same thing creates a little bit of friction.
Yeah. But then it's interesting you said that because, like, Google's kind of VP of global ads, he kind of made an interesting acknowledgement. He said, look, in the AI mode journey of a consumer, if an ad is shown too early, it feels way too intrusive and, in a sense, creates this massive trust problem. And I think, in a way, and I'm very excited to see how Google approach it because, again, it's a great company with great builders and great engineers. And it'll be, in a way, it's how would they measure the right timing in the conversation? It's like asking someone out on a date. I think it's going to be the same thing for AI mode for Google. It's when do you pull the trigger? When do you know this is the time to show the ad?
Yeah.
You know, because it's different, right? It's a very different experience we're dealing with. Because most buyers would be like best running shoes, right? That's what Carson would search before if he wanted to buy some new shoes.
Yeah.
Now you may say, look, I've ran 3 times in a week on these hard roads. My knees are now hurting. What should I buy? Right?
Yeah.
So it'll be a different journey now, and it'll be interesting to see when Google places the ad. I'm gonna be deeply fascinated by that. Maybe
That's a
it'll
good
be
point too, because then it brings me to the sense of like, okay, well, if you just search best running shoes, AI wants to, if AI can just say, hey, what kind of shoes are you using now? You can do more research. It's just a matter of, is it going to provide kind of like how Google does it, where paid stuff is already showed as paid, like this is sponsored, but give you other options instead? Like if the best option is not an ad, are they going to show you that? That's what I don't know yet. And
but
I think
then
it'll be interesting to find out.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting, tension point for them.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what they get up to, and I think, you know, what's the space basically, especially this Google AI mode and where they take it. So yeah, I mean, kind of what anything that's intriguing you, any other in kind of industry news, any kind of things that are tickling your fancy?
One thing I did saw that I want to kind of talk about is I saw an article about how social platforms are facing increased scrutiny and
Mm,
it's asking like how long will advertisers stick around. So recent events tell us that advertisers are willing to weather scandals, but threats to low costs and high reach could threaten that loyalty.
interesting.
This is an article by Katie Hicks on Marketing Brew. It's all fines and games for the social media platforms recently. Last month, a New Mexico jury found Meta liable for violating state consumer protection laws and ordered the company to pay 375 million in damages in case related to child safety on its apps. The next day, a California jury found both Meta and Google liable for negligence in fueling one woman's depression and anxiety as a young user, awarding her 6 million in damages. So these decisions have like marked the first time that social platforms have been held accountable for possible harm to children and really have been stapled as like these are landmark cases now because it'll cause marketers they're speculating that it'll cause some marketers to flee Meta and Google platforms if this is, a problem that reoccurs with the platforms. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Meta and Google are probably going to have to like up their game a little bit in terms of like child protection. I know they're doing their part. So tough for this to know if it's like just user fault or if it's really company fault. But a lot of this is tough to kind of work around with all of these restrictions and knowing that like we need to keep kids off social media. That's been a big push the last like year and a half, I think. But
But
also know that like there's a history of this too. In 2019, the FTC fined Google and YouTube $170 million for violating children's privacy rules. And now, like, we go through it every week when we upload is like, is this made for children? No. Does this include X, Y, and Z? No. Like, you have to be able to mark this stuff so that they know, like, we're not delivering this to the certain crowd.
you say that in that article, you're saying that they would leave the platforms of Meta and Google. I would argue most businesses, if Meta and Google turned off the advertising engine, they'd go pretty bankrupt.
Yeah.
Most companies, this whole I mean, there's e-com brands that are built just on Meta as a channel.
Yeah.
Where would they go in your opinion? Would they go to Reddit? Where would they go?
I mean, the easy answer is TikTok, but at the same time, you're gonna come in the same issue. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna leave. I just think like if the advertising lights shut off for these platforms tomorrow, that wipes out a lot of businesses really quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because in a way, it's what has happened with social media and the rise of it and the popularity. It's eroded the old channels that people used to go down. In the UK, it's like community centres. Is it like and that's why we were talking on that previous couple of weeks ago about the importance of community events, right? Because you don't own the internet, you rent it. I mean, you own
Yep.
the email list. Maybe that's the most protected source ever is your email list. But I would just warn people, like these platforms, they're all footing a very expensive bill on AI, and they're going to need to find places to fund it. Right? It's my
Yep.
warning to people. AI is reasonably priced right now, but just imagine, they know they want you to build your systems with their AI, and then all of a sudden they'll just hike those prices up because they know
Yep.
that you can't go anywhere. So just be cautious of that. I'd
Yep.
warn off. So yeah, so that's kind of is that. So any other things?
No, that's pretty much all I've got for industry news. Let's head into the weekly campaign recap because I've got three pretty good ones for this.
Okay.
So, and we can switch off here. But Dollar Shave Club swipes at its competition in first women's grooming push. So the CEO Larry Bodner calls the DTC company's new line Anti Venus, Anti Billy, Anti Flamingo, and an antidote to pink, sparkly, frilly products pitched to women. So the campaign is basically focused on reinforcing a disruptor mindset for a female audience instead of a male this time. So they've kind of moved into this other audience stuff. So they're taking a different route when it comes to advertising to women. Have you seen this campaign yet? It's two like 30-second ads.
No, I haven't. I'm unaware of the Shave Club ad.
Yeah. So they're an American company. The campaign is basically to take aim at their competition who's selling women's razors with like slippery handles and dull blades with like pastels and glitters. So it's more focused on like being clean girls rather than like pristine girly girls.
But
Does
do
that make
you?
sense?
I've always found when you swipe at the competition, I've always found it an interesting concept of by swiping at competition, does it make you look weak in a way? Like if it's like if I
Depends on
don't
how you do it.
true.
Because I think it's like it's okay to jab at your competition, but you don't want to bash them. Like
Yeah,
you want to take the market share by showing the discrepancy between where they serve you and how you serve them. And I think that's the key to do it. Not being like Gillette is hurting your shaving because they're pegging you as like a girly girl and we're not. Like, don't say that. Just show people like this is how typical razor companies are advertising to you and what they're giving you. This is what we give you. This is how it's better.
yeah,
And but it's funny too because for the campaign they're using both traditional marketing with like real humans, but they're also using AI created, like I don't know what you'd call it, characters, but it's like shaving cream and lotion and a scrub, not a scrunchie, loofah or whatever they're called, and then a razor. It's taking like it takes the shot at the legacy razor brands, but it uses the AI to kind of bring more stuff to life.
interesting,
Not sure how people feel about it, but like that's what they're doing.
interesting.
Also, another piece of industry news we forgot is OpenAI scrapped Sora.
I mean, shock horror.
Yeah. But anyway, that's like the campaign that I saw. It's very interesting to see like, if you guys want to go watch it, just look up Dollar Shave, We've Got Your Back and Your Bikini Line. That's the campaign.
I mean, a campaign that I've been very intrigued by and have been following just from an execution perspective is McDonald and K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, two worlds that I never thought would collide, but they did. Do you know much about this, Carson?
No, I don't know anything about this.
Man, you're about to go into this is great. So it's the battle of the fans. So basically, what McDonald's and K-pop Demon Hunters have done very smart compared to other sponsorships or celebrity deals is McDonald's they haven't borrowed the IP. They've become part of like the canon. So what I mean by that is the campaign that they've done together was built as an actual new chapter in the story, which is really interesting. So it's fundamentally very different from just like slapping on a logo and saying whatever, like Happy Meal kit. They've actually gone down like a creative ambition route. And I think what's really important for me to understand and why I found this campaign so interesting is McDonald's, I think, understood as a team, but the K-pop Demon Hunters fan base, they don't want to be sold to, right? Because it's a young audience. Young Gen Z audiences, and actually younger than that, don't want to be sold to. It's a common theme, right? But they want more of the universe that they love to be kind of in their lifestyle. So what they've done is McDonald's have basically become the delivery mechanic or
Mhm.
mechanism, sorry, of the new content. So for example, there's QR codes that exclusively with exclusive merch. There's like an LA immersive event, and the food is just a ticket, right, to the experience. So I think it's a really good way to bring, two very different worlds together in an experience that makes sense. It isn't just slapping on a logo, right? But yeah, I thought it was a really clever, like, campaign for them to really
That is
explode.
very interesting.
Have you seen nothing about it?
I've seen nothing about it. I'll have to look it up after.
No, you will have to. You will have to. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
in addition, Bic is bringing back their iconic "Flick Your Bic" tagline as part of a new campaign to try and reach younger generations.
Interesting.
The effort is a 30-second ad that firms up a cheekier tone of the brand's messaging while highlighting its line of lighter products. Created with the agency Donner, the waxy, saxy spot focused on a couple for whom the spark has gone out. Narrator sings, "When the night loses its flame, flick your bic and reignite the romance." With the flick of a bic lighter changing the mood, the man transforms into a Kenny G lookalike, playing the saxophone made of wax while his partner trades her romance novel for a flowing red dress. So this is more of like that tongue-in-cheek humor for Bic, kind of going back to their 70s, maybe early 90s as well ads for the
Mm,
product. I think this is a win. They've also been a company notoriously that likes to go the crazier route.
mm.
They've used like famous weed smokers like Willie Nelson, Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg, doing campaigns with them exclusively. And it's the number one lighter for that occasion.
If in doubt, hack nostalgia, right? I mean, I feel like it's the number one playbook in any CMO's back pocket, right? How do we get back in? We need to go nostalgia. So it'll be interesting to see what the long tail of that will be. For
I think there's a regression back to nostalgia because of that feeling of like there was so much less going on. We had no worries in the world.
I just think, yeah, I think what's interesting is the extreme views that people would have pro it or against it. They wouldn't really have a community, but they can go on X and rant. I think the social media has, and we talked about this before, right? It's led to really deep, entrenched silos, more extreme points of view because, as human beings, you and I could chat away. If we hear a loud sound, or scuffle outside, we'll go investigate, right? Because as humans, we're
Yep.
wired, that primate in us, we're wired to look to go after conflict, right? Or not even conflicts, more kind of just like, extreme things. We're not driven, we are attracted to that way, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, are we happy to go on to segment 3? Or am I
I got one more that's actually a pretty good one. So,
fire
Elf is promoting their affordable beauty lines with a true crime inspired mockumentary.
Well, for
So,
are we
this is it's actually a 10-minute film. It's not even like a ad or anything. It's like actually like a mockumentary. They're digging into the world of like true crime with the release of their campaign called Vanity Vandals. And it's basically the whole premise of it is to explore what the brand calls vanity vandalism, the act of overcluttering vanities due to a surplus of affordable beauty products. And it's basically made this theatrical debut at the TCL Chinese Theater in LA that the brand hosted a live watch party on its Twitch channel too. Pretty
ama
cool. So
ama
this is actually really well done. Shout out to Elf for this because I'm impressed. Like they actually thought of the works for this, and they want to amplify the effort with an activation within its existing Roblox space and give away a limited time product bundles, Vanity Vandals, and it's following a similar effort by them called the Cosmetic Criminals in 2024. So shout out to Elf because this is incredible. If you want to watch it, just go to YouTube and look up Vanity Vandals by Elf. I was pretty impressed with just the overall one creative direction of this, but two, actually, it feels like it does have a story. And of course, it's a mockumentary. It's by a brand. It's not going to be some TV show. But for what it is, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, look, Elf Cosmetics, right? I would say if you're a CMO and you're looking at what brands should we use to help, influence our thinking, Elf Cosmetics, even if you're not in their niche, you should be looking at them, right?
Yep.
They were early to TikTok. They were early on gaming, like Twitch and those types of things you're saying, and early on ASMR,
I
right?
think they're early on live shopping too.
And live shopping. So they've got some killers in that team.
Yep.
So definitely watch what they're doing. Yeah, because again and again, it's a classic thing, right? I can guarantee they've done a post-purchase survey, but they haven't asked the questions that most typical marketers would ask. They've asked questions to work out what their audience, their core 18 to 35-year-old females watching. And shock horror, it's true crime, right? I
Yeah.
was actually talking to someone about this recently, and she was saying she watches true crime to relax, which I find
I've heard that a lot.
I
I've
don't
heard that
get
a
it.
lot.
How is that I don't get it.
I'm not too entirely sure, but hey, to each their own. One other thing about to go with this campaign, they have also launched a Save Your Sync contest it's running right now from April 2nd to the 16th. It invites customers and consumers to share their chaotic sync for the chance to win a prize value of over $10,000 inclusive of a year's worth of e.l.f. products. One-on-one bathroom or vanity design consultation, $1,000 Target gift card. So they're going all in on this. e.l.f.
Yes.
Round of applause for e.l.f., dude. Like, that is actually incredible.
Genius.
They're killing it over there. I mean, there's a reason they're a publicly traded company and as big as they are, but like they're crazy.
Well, they've just incentivized their whole fan base to share their syncs, which then creates a cultural moment. And then they ride it because they've made that kind of revenue peak,
Yep.
right? In the sense of it's a moment that they've owned, you know? Genius. Utterly genius. Well done, e.l.f. Good job from them.
Luke,
Yes.
lead us into the next section, brother. What do we got today?
Yay. Okay, this is my section, and I'm very proud to say that me and Carson were cooking about what segments can we do, and there's one that I really wanted to add. And it is, every week, I will find an ad campaign that is 50 years old.
Or more.
Or more. Or less, actually. It could go both ways. And the campaign that I've chosen today to take us down the old rabbit hole. Carson, can you any guesses of where I'm going to be taking them? Any guesses?
What's the amount of years we're looking at?
Photography.
Photography.
You can ask for the photography, yeah.
It's either going to be, well, it's got what's the decade gap here? Like 50 years?
So it's 1970 April.
76. It's either Polaroid or Kodak.
Oh, okay. First of all, ding ding, you've nailed it down to the 50-50. What's your bet? If you had to put money on it, you going Kodak or you going Polaroid?
This is the 70s?
Mm.
All right, so Kodak was still alive and well, so it's got to be, well, Polaroid was still... I'm going to go with Kodak because they were popping from like the 50s to like the 80s.
I'm going to hit with a big old bingo. Well done. Kodak is the answer. And we're going to be looking at the Times of Your Life campaign, right? So, bit of context here. So essentially, this campaign, and what I'll do is let me just quickly fire it up on the screen just so I can show people briefly. Entire screen. So this is the campaign. It is Kodak's Times of Your Life by J. Walter Thompson. It actually became a hit in the US. And many argue that it's probably one of the most emotionally charged kind of Kodak films of all time. It's something you should definitely watch in your own time. We will leave a link in the YouTube description for you guys to go watch it yourself, or on the LinkedIn post as well. Very beautiful. So let me explain more about it and give it some more enriched context. But yeah, so basically, as I was saying, the campaign was developed by a guy called J. Walter Thompson, right? And it featured
one of the goats.
And it was featuring Paul Anaka's vocals, right? And it was showing emotional slideshows of everyday family moments, right? Times of Your Life campaign. That's really important. Birthdays, holidays, milestones, right? And it actually continued to run throughout 1976. And they actually did variations on different holidays like Christmas, Easter. What's the big one? What's the bigger holiday you have in America? Not Boxing Day, Luke. Thanksgiving, example, right?
Second best holiday in America.
Best holiday in America. And the campaign actually won the Clio Award in 1976 for its innovative use of music in commercials.
I did not know that.
But fun fact, actually, the song reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 in February 1976.
Paul Anka is a dog, let me tell you. Paul Anka's a dog.
He is a dog. He is a dog. So essentially, why am I bringing this up, right? This is an interesting moment for 2 reasons. So we'll talk about the positive first, right? I think what was really smart about this, right, was that Kodak... So I think the really smart thing was that Kodak was kind of... They weren't really selling the film as much. They were selling more of the fear of forgetting and allowing life to go by. So for me personally, and what I think the campaign does really well, it kind of says, look, live life frame by frame. but also capture it, right? I think it's a really smart kind of emotional architecture, right? It's very much saying that, hey, capture the moments in life, as it's the times of your life, and actually use Kodak to capture those moments. So that's kind of one of my takeaways. But actually, there's a bit of a sad part of this story. So in 1976, Kodak, they held around 90% of the US film sales, right? And eventually they went bankrupt in 2012, right? And I think what's interesting and my biggest takeaway for people would be understand what your core use is a product, but really look at the emotional jobs to be done around what you're selling, right? But yeah, so that was kind of the campaign 50 years ago, 1976, Times of Your Life by Kodak. I think it's a great campaign. What do you think,
Love
Carson?
it.
I know
I
I've got
love it.
there.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I think it's a classic,
It is. They used to crush it, man. It's a shame they were so hell bent on not making digital cameras.
Indeed, indeed.
You know it's crazy? I do believe, if I'm not mistaken here, Kodak did invent the digital camera, but executives did not like the idea and didn't want to launch it. And then they got lapped by everybody and they were like, it just became too late and they went bankrupt in 2012 and it's crazy.
I know it's a good campaign. Is there a final segment, or are we?
Last segment is personal insights. So stuff
Oh,
that we're noticing right now that maybe we want to share with the audience. And I've got just a couple here that I think I want to share and we can kind of dive into them separately. And if you have any, like let's dive into those. But the key things I'm seeing right now are ugly ads are still crushing.
sure.
Those are doing really well, both video and static. One thing that I've seen a lot is the simpler the better for ugly ads.
Yep.
So the less you have going on, the better it is, and the less text can be really well, but also really long divided up text is doing pretty well too. So
Yeah.
either you don't want to really be in the middle part, you want to be in the very simple or very long. Another thing I'm seeing right now is long text ads are ripping right now. The strong headline with just a ton of painting the picture and evoking the emotion. That is really what's doing well right now that we've seen across all different ad accounts in different industries. And I hate this. I think we talked about this last week a little bit, but this notion that people don't want to read and our attention spans are just so zapped that people don't read anything anymore is completely false. It's not true. People will read what interests them and what makes them feel something. So you need to be good at your job. That's it. Just be good at your job. People will read.
I mean, when you say it like that, it sums up very well. If you're good at your job, people will read anything you write.
Yeah. So that's two things I'm noticing. But I think there are some new formats up for grabs right now.
Ooh.
So what I would recommend is for people to go with their team or by themselves and do the following. Have either an internal meeting and we've already done this actually. We did it a couple of weeks ago. We're slowly starting to work in these formats one by one, but go look at just random and crazy things in everyday life, whether it could be on your phone, it could be in the real world, doesn't matter. And go find out like what interfaces or what things grab my attention and how can I turn this into an ad format?
Mm.
We have one that we're really excited about that we'll be rolling out in a little bit once we get things squared away for some stuff, but I'm not going to share. I'm going to gatekeep this one. But like things, if you look at, putting stickers for your brand on like a street sign or a road sign or something like that, taking a picture and then putting that as an ad, like that's an option as well. You could do pictures, like if you have a picture in your house and it's got something similar to a product, right? Or an old Michelangelo with the hands touching each other and grabbing a product and something else. Like Heineken had one where it was a bottle and a bottle opener reaching toward each other. So I think there's a lot of formats up for grabs and people are so stuck in this loop of just recycling the same shit. Go out there and create something new. Go do something incredibly new. That's something that I think is very important right now that people should go do is go either if you're solo agency or you have a team, like get a brainstorm going of just no wrong answers, crazy shit, go. We did this internally and it helped us kind of open the floodgates to stuff. So that's something that I wanted to share with everybody.
I like it. No, I like that a lot. I think it's true. Sometimes it's better to actually find innovation by going into the real world and looking. Because you've got to think in a way, you've got to go offline to find things to then re-engage people online. So yeah, that's a really smart Carson. Again, you and your team absolutely cooking as per usual. On my end, the big things I've seen is like really AI native ads. So just ads that are obviously AI, like Pixar level AI type of ads. They're doing really well because they're not trying to hide that they're not AI. I mean, it's animation, right? Look at some of the look at Toy Story, right? Beautiful animations. People want to have access to that because of AI. So use that in your version of your own storytelling. And then that's kind of all I'm really seeing. More landing page stuff, really. I mean, the quiz funnel is really growing to a lot of the quiz funnel is kind of going through a lot of different niches right now. It's a new hero mechanism. So a lot of people are finding some great innovation on that. Seeing some interesting work on PDPs, just kind of like with the offers. But yeah, just kind of overall, I think more of the same. But again, looking outside your niche, looking outside in the real world, go touch some grass. But the big one, AI native ads, really obviously AI ads, Pixar level ads in there. And that's kind of what I'm seeing, Carson.
Dude, I love it. This format, I've really enjoyed this episode. It's been super fun to kind of bounce around and do a bunch of different stuff.
Mm.
Hopefully, you guys also enjoyed and are fond of this format. Let us know in the comments below, please. We'd love the feedback. So, this is a goodbye to the good ad fellas and a hello to the Mad Ads department. Your things for all things advertising. And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Send this to anybody who might like it. And
Indeed. And we'll chat
we're
soon.
excited for the new chapter.
And we'll see you next week with some more hot news.
Yes.
See you then.
Peace.